presented by Policybazaar.
CNBC-TV18, the Policybazaar Insurance Show.
In the recent past, time and again, we've spoken about the need to address the missing middle in India. But what is equally important is to increase the coverage of insurance on the corporate end or the employer-employee end. Today, on this episode of the Policybazaar Insurance Show, we put the spotlight on how the coverage of employee wellness through insurance can be expanded, how employee wellness is changing from being curative to preventive, and how corporates are responding to this changing face of employee wellness. Joining us today are Sajja Praveen Chaudhary from Policybazaar from Business, Mr. Nilanjan Roy, Group Business Head at Manipal Cigna Health Insurance, and Mr. Ganesan P, Senior Vice President HR and Admin at Shadi.com. Thank you, gentlemen, for speaking to us on this important topic today. To start the discussion with you, Sajja, over the years, you've been looking at the space, reading the space very closely. How has employee wellness through insurance being at the center stage evolved for you, looking at the space from outside?
Yes, basically there was a time, when there was only, when you speak about wellness or insurance, it was only about employee health insurance.
Correct.
But over the past few years, I think that definition has changed from only looking at giving employees a health insurance to also ensuring what would take care of their health and beyond that, whether it might be health wellness in terms of, mental wellness, or in terms of, healthiness, or in terms of financial wellness. So the definition has got broadened up. And the organizations have opened up to kind of ensure they include everything or whatever they can within their means to ensure that the employee wellness is taken care of, whether it's in terms of making a doctor available to them when they want to speak, not even when they want to get hospitalized. Insurance comes into picture when you want to get hospitalized. But what about when the employee has some small health issue at home, and should they go half day out the hospital and meet a doctor, or can they speak over phone, or can take an online consultation? Similarly, if they want to get a, say, let's assume there's certain things in terms of having physical fitness, which is also important in today's life. Because gone are those days where the jobs are very mechanical in nature, and today a lot of people are on the chairs, right? So there's a lot of thing around, fitness kind of thing. Can they kind of curate a fitness or a gym kind of sessions along with it, which will ensure that there's employee fitness kind of thing? All of these things, whether it's in terms of, in terms of regular employee health, or in terms of fitness, or in terms of being able to provide them with some solution which can take care of their financial needs,
Correct.
or in terms of any suggestions that they would want in terms of financial coach. Or the other part, which is primarily spoken about these days, is about mental wellness, especially again, given that, the nuclear families kind of a structure from what we used to have in the past, and support structure not being there in metros, and also the kind of pressure that's there, right? Mental wellness. So there are multiple, agendas which, you look at an employee, and whatever you think, whichever category you think that the employee can, might have a need.
Correct.
The corporates have started to kind of inculcate that into entire wellness plan along with employee health insurance. That's how it has kind of got broadened up. And as we see, it's only kind of, getting more and more broadened up in order to include much more kind of whatever might go beyond insurance.
Nilanjan, to come to you, I mean, from the insurer's perspective, things are changing very rapidly, needs are increasing very rapidly. How are insurers responding to this changing face of employee wellness through insurance? What are the new things which are coming into the picture in terms of insurance also striving to give new schemes? What are the new coverages which have come into the picture in the recent past?
So Yash, the core concept of insurance remains true to all insurers, which is ensuring adaptability, affordability, and accessibility. And as per what Sajja just mentioned about employee benefits becoming more egalitarian in approach, what essentially happens is we have had to change ourselves to make our employee plans, which are basically our group health solutions, more preventive, more comprehensive, and more adaptable, in the sense that you offer more flexibility to the employees.
Correct.
To be able to kind of choose what they really want to choose and how much to pay for what they choose. So definitely what is changing at insurers' end is our insurance products are becoming more inclusive from the perspective that not only the inpatient care, which was historically always the core cover in India, but also moving to preventive health care, offering insurance inbuilt plans which kind of take care of their diagnostics, take care of all the stress that they have at the workplace, which is through mental health solutions, and of course, making it easy for them to understand insurance and be able to make the most out of what their employers are offering.
To come to you, Mr. Ganesan, you are on the other end responding to your own workforce, your own employees. How are you and organization like yours responding to these changes? And in true sense, do you really think that employee wellness, though it's through insurance, but has moved much beyond insurance in terms of being preventive as much as being curative at this point of time?
I would look at wellness holistically rather than only from an insurance perspective. I think now we can define two clear phases as far as wellness goes. One is pre-COVID and the second is post-COVID. So it's not only India but the whole world that has gone through a major change in outlook. There is a paradigm shift in terms of looking at employee wellness very, very differently. COVID taught us a lot of things. The experiences of COVID taught us a lot of things. In a lot of ways, the world has gone digital. So when it comes to work, right, it's very easy to now kind of understand and make those very clear distinctions between remote work, hybrid work, in-office work, right? We can do remote work when required, we can do hybrid work when required, and we can do in-office work when required. So in a city like Mumbai, in a city like Bangalore, in a city like Delhi, where traveling happens to be a challenge even today, so people look at multiple options.
Correct.
We've also realized that remote and hybrid work up to a particular point, in-office work helps a lot in terms of wellness, in terms of emotional well-being. So talking again digitally, we have so many opportunities to do well-being checks for your physical well-being digitally. We have emotional well-being partners who help us to do this. And plus, the kind of work approach that we eventually land up at the workplace is also very important. I think we've fairly succeeded and done very well when it comes to being flexible towards our employees. If somebody is down, some family member is down. So we've, continued the same culture as we had during the COVID times.
Correct.
Right. So the world has changed a lot, and it is about complete wholeness. It's about flexibility, and it's about how companies are realigning their thought process towards making the workplace very wellness conscious, and at the same time ensuring productivity is happening.
Come to you, Nilanjan. A lot of schemes that you do introduce on the side of employee wellness are with the feedback that you get from these employers. A large role is being played by the feedback that you get in terms of what is required by employees. Can you tell us about the suggestions that you're getting in terms of what does the modern employee need in terms of his wellness ecosystem, and how are you designing your products, keeping that at the center stage?
Sure, yes. So if you really understand that the entire insurance or insured benefit or anything that you have even on your personal side, basically forms part of the larger financial protection around your health risks, right? Yes. So one of the biggest issues that India is facing today is that the out-of-pocket expenses continues to be more than 60% of the total healthcare spend. Now, employers, of course, they have been the first ones to kind of understand this, especially around COVID. And they came back to us through consultants and they said that, well, we need to do different. And we were like, okay, we were waiting for this to be different, because if you just do the curative part, it doesn't also satisfy, our cost and our profitability perspective. So it was a large exercise around deconstructing what traditional insured products or insurance products were at our end, understanding what the employers were needing and how can we, put it inside a group plan. And group plan offers us that flexibility to design what we get, and rather that curation is much more easier in a group product. And we have been able to curate much more, wholesome, comprehensive products, primarily backed on technology. So these are all offered through technology, because at the end of the day, insurance is just a product which is, understanding the risk and pricing it. But how do you deliver it? The delivery has been a bigger concern in our head. And I think through digital enablement, we have been able to deconstruct, understand, and construct new products that
Absolutely.
Are making insured benefits more, flexible and comprehensive, and of course, with a focus on prevention.
Sajjad, to speak to you, and this is a suggestion and a question put in one statement. But just a thought that I wanted to share with you and understand if this is indeed possible. We speak about the concern of the employer-employee benefits having a very limited shelf life. Once the employee transitions to another employer or leaves the formal working space, the insurance benefits that he has eventually collapses at that very moment. Is there a way we can look at it more long term, in the sense if an employee is willing to continue to contribute premiums towards his plan, irrespective of him being with the organization, with a different organization, not being in the formal workspace also, that insurance policy continues for him till the time he wishes to do so? Is that kind of setup more ideal and possible from both employer and insurance point of view?
So, yes, Yash, I think this is one of the very valid things which few employees in the past as well raised. And today, this is pretty much possible given the portability guidelines which are there from the regulator. And today, we do this with few of the employees in some of the groups. The only difference being that, when you're in a group policy, or when you're an employer-employee policy, which is primarily a group policy, that group policy is priced basis whatever the outcomes of that group are. And that price is very different from what a retail product or any other group price would be. For example, you are working in an organization A, the price per life or per family, whatever that you're paying here might be, say, 20,000, 30,000 rupees. In other group where you go, the benefits might be different and how that group is behaving might be different. And hence it can be 15,000 or it can be 50,000 also. So one is when you move, anyways, you move into that plan of the new organization. But then there are also a lot of people who kind of today move into new startups, which might not have the similar kind of covers, or at times they might want to start on their own as well. Now, in all of those scenarios, what happens is you can, if you're covered for a particular duration in the existing plan, you can port into a retail plan of an insurance company, showcasing that you've been covered for X duration before you leave the company or when you're almost about to leave the company. And then the other company would accept that proposal and then underwrite it like the regular portability application kind of. And then obviously you can carry forward.
Is it a seamless process? Is it, can it be easily done without sort of getting involved in a lot of paperwork, a lot of rejections, keeping all of that aside?
The way it is any regular health insurance, as you would understand, Yash, right? At the end of the, or an insurance company at the end of the day, they pool in money and they pay out as claims to the people who are insured, right?
Correct.
They have to manage that money also very effectively.
Absolutely.
If you bring in knowingly, there are a lot of people who have a lot of ailments and you don't underwrite at the right premium, then you might just go burst. And then you leave a lot of people on the ground who will not be covered at all, right? So it is important that you underwrite it right, in terms of premium or conditions and all. So whenever such a portability application comes in, they see what are the ailments that are there right now. They need to look at the claims of last 3-4 years, because if you've claimed, and then basis that they decide whether they can take you at the same premium or they can take you at a higher premium in order to ensure that the pool is self-sufficient for long-term nature of the company, right? And today it's very much possible. If you say, is it very, very digital nature? Yes, I think it's going there. It's not yet fully digital in nature, I would say, because the portability guidelines also evolved over the last 3-4 years. The recent regulations also again changing in May 24. So these are evolving, and probably in the coming months or so, we should expect it to be much more digital nature. And this today, having said that, we use it today and we actually help some of our people who are there employed with us, some of our clients, in terms of porting to retail plans.
That's a very interesting point, but we'll continue on that point and much more on this other side of a very, very short break. Keep tuned on. We'll join you on the other side of this very short break.
CNBC-TV18, the Policybazaar Insurance Show.
Welcome back to the Policybazaar Insurance Show. Our conversation on wellness for employees through insurance continues on this side of that short break. Sajjad, and I want to start again with you. Speaking about technology, Policybazaar, of course, as an organization, has paid a lot of focus when it comes to technology and distributing insurance through technology. As far as the employer insurance or employee wellness is concerned, what role has it played in terms of giving you the needed data about any employer, about any employee? What role has it played in the large scheme of distribution of insurance?
See, primarily, as earlier Ganeshan said, right, the world has moved in terms of looking at only wellness per se to kind of being able to give a lot more to employees in terms of whether it's a hybrid workforce and all of that. So when you look at such a structure that, earlier all the employees used to be in office versus nowadays not everyone need to be in office and they can be structured across multiple offices or at times be working from home. This technology is one part which kind of helps ensure that the HR managers or the administrators of health insurance or the employee health insurance and wellness kind of do it in a much better coordinated way. Why is it so? In a regular health insurance policy of employer health insurance policy, frequency is about anywhere between 5 to 8%. When I say 5 to 8%, in a year, about 5 to 8 out of 100 employees would take a claim. What about the rest 95 or 92 employees? How do you touch base with them? How do you engage with them kind of? And especially when they're not in office. If they're in office, you used to have this Friday fun shows or, other stuff which is around, right? But when they're not in office, how do you do that?
Correct.
Now, you have this entire, what we have today as policies of a business is a single suite which is connected kind of, which has everything within that. Whether you speak about e-cards for insurance, whether it's in terms of claims, or whether it's in terms of employee wellness, whether in terms of, a teleconsultation that you would want to take for doctors, or a gym membership that you would want to book from there, or in terms of any kind of wellness videos or something that you would want to go through, or basic assistance kind of mental wellness related or psycho, therapy related kind of assistance. All of these being available through technology and at the same time having your privacy at the same time, right? Because especially in mental wellness that you speak about, having privacy is very important. You cannot kind of just open, there are a lot of people who would not want to open to the world and say, I am having issues and I would want to speak. But you being able to provide them using technology, otherwise it's a bit tough kind of a thing in a regular offline world. Parental health coverage, right? That's one thing which a lot of employees ask for, because in group health insurance that organizations give, the pre-existing diseases are covered from day one, and parents are the ones who are prone to be having pre-existing disease and not getting retail policy kind of a thing. Now, parental coverage to an extent in some of the organizations who don't provide themselves and give it as a voluntary policy to the employees is the chicken and egg story. Why? The insurer would want, say, 20% people to at least take it. Again, from the risk pool perspective, we just discussed a while back. Correct. You take only 2% of employee parents, then your premium goes bust. So you need to have a 20% or whatever that is. Now, if you don't, on the other side of employees, how do you get the 20%?
Correct.
That's where, again, technology comes into picture in terms of, having your exact right flows being there, or you being able to communicate with employees using the app or WhatsApp or email and all of that, having seamless technology flow, which will ensure that, the seamless technology flow helps in having more and more people enrolling into it easily. And that's where some of these, even the voluntary policies come into picture, become more effective.
Mr. Ganesan, things like mental wellness, things like OPD, things like lifestyle issues, how are employees responding to these requirements in terms of the coverage that they want? And second question, are employees completely aware today or largely aware that they can sort of opt for these things out of their health insurance policy or the wellness scheme and are being able to use their policies effectively?
Sure. So I would answer second question first, right? I think it's left to the organization to communicate and drive home what we are actually offering. So a lot of communication. When I say communication, I would say on-ground communication plus your digital communication helps, because, for example, somebody has a mild fever. They really don't know that they need to go into a possible app and talk to a doctor. They don't remember. What I would possibly do is walk to the doctor next to my home. So while these facilities have greatly helped, in fact, people have become more aware. As I said, there are two zones. One is the pre-COVID era and the post-COVID era. Post-COVID, a lot of people have become aware that all these solutions are available digitally. The organization is providing them, communicating to them, and they can benefit. So it helps a lot in communicating. Today, people are aware that apart from my typical health insurance that the company provides, I also have an opportunity to pick up the phone and talk to a specialist. I can also have the opportunity to pick up the phone and speak to someone who's going to offer me emotional well-being, whatever it may be. And one of the best things that has helped us there is we've thrown it open to the families as well. It's not only about employees.
One final question as we conclude this interaction, and this is more of a confrontation between the different stakeholders that I have here in front of me. Mr. Ganesan, to start with you, what would you need out of, let's say, that one thing that you would need out of an insurance company to have this mechanism or the relationship between, of course, the organization and the insurer in favor of the employer-employee wellness scheme? If you could start with that.
Having health insurance is good. But the effectiveness is measured only by the outcomes. So even today, in spite of all the customization that an insurer does for a corporate, at the end of the day, when a guy is going to get discharged, he's still worried, what's in store for him.
Correct.
Right? At the discharge desk, before collecting a discharge summary, he's still not very sure, whether what is going to be rejected, what's going to work, what's not going to work. So that, a little better personal attention there to ensure that the exit is as seamless as the entry was. And I think it'll actually lift the case of insurers to go there and tell that, we support you, we ensure that the exit is as peaceful as it was, as the entry was.
But Nilanjan, to speak to you on the same point, one thing that you would need corporates to do more proactively for you to provide better to them.
So I think the one thing that we always look forward to our corporate clients, to do more of is, try and establish a very, very collaborative relationship with insurers. And this relationship should not be a short-term, 1 year, 2 year kind of a thing. It should have, kind of a strategy in place that, okay, 3 to 5 years, we're going to work together. And we're going to do these 4 or 5 things, which increases my employees' experience of working for me as an employer. And, health benefits being the largest spend item, for all employers, this becomes a very crucial thing. Unfortunately, that could be done much more in India today, which is not happening.
Okay.
Probably that would be my ask to all my corporate clients.
Sajja, last word to you from corporates, from insurers. I mean, your point of view in terms of being the mediator between the two, connecting them, what would you require out of both of them? One thing.
See, I think, as Nilanjan said, one part that we see when we speak to corporates on the other side, one place where we struggle at times also is in terms of being able to look at medical inflation. So medical inflation is one large thing, especially post-COVID, and in the group health insurance, what happens is the pricing of a policy happens based on the outcome of claims of last year. When it comes to obviously the client side of it, I think the client is the king and the queen, so we wouldn't say much. But having said that, one part which we try to tell clients at times is when they say, what else can we give? What is the new thing? What is extra coverage that we're increasing? At some times with few clients, it happens in such a way they don't realize that what they're giving this year is something what they cannot pull back at some point of time. Correct. And as I said earlier, the next year pricing is going to done basis last year claims. So when you're pulling out the, removing the capping on, say, a room rent or, kind of not putting in place some cappings, I think some place, where while we try to educate, I think some points where they can be more judicious around it, I think helps in terms of in a long term kind of thing, in keeping their costs only in control kind of.
Well, thank you, Sajja, for concluding this so well. Thank you, Nilanjan. Thank you, Mr. Ganesan, for speaking to us on this very important topic. All eyes going forward will now be on how we can make the employer-employee insurance more comprehensive, more customizable, tailored to individual needs, and of course, increase the coverage here. There are, of course, various things which can be done, are being done. A few of those things you heard from the panel here. But with that, it's a wrap on this edition of the Policybazaar Insurance Show. We will return soon with a new discussion on another interesting topic. Till then, stay safe, stay insured.
CNBC-TV18, the Policybazaar Insurance Show.
Presented by Policybazaar.